Hi there. So today we're working on this photo of an American goldfinch. I took it with the 600 f4 lens on the A1 Sony with the 2x teleconverter. ISO really quite low. Shutter speed also quite low for what the focal length is. I've done my usual process as far as shadow and darkening, bringing up the shadows, turning down the blacks, things like that. I've put on the radio filter, radio mask. I've worked on the eye because that's the focal point of the photo. Whole thing is drawing the light to this point, and I'll show you quickly. Radio filter, dodge, brightness of the iris. Okay, so now what I really am interested though in is color correcting the photo here, because in a light way, in a visual way, it's very compelling. I like this. I like this photo. But what we have is an issue that is incredibly irritating to correct and deal with at times, which is a yellow bird with a green color cast. And the reason this is so difficult is obviously green and yellow are so closely related. That's where the magic brush in Capture One works out so well. This is going to be probably more involved than one might imagine, because there's a lot of tonal range here which is being affected by this overly green impact. Down here, I mean, it's essentially green, which the bird just obviously isn't. And up here, there are very clear tonal impacts. So what we're going to have to do is edit the bird in its entirety and then go in where it's really truly green and correct that even more. Because if we push the whole color correction for the whole bird, since we've got such a wide range in there, it's going to skew the areas that are pretty yellow right now into the completely orange, magenta, red, whatever zone. And it's going to, eventually we'll get this to look yellow, but this will be bright orange. So we have to do it in stages. So the first stage is to hit M. We have the brush selected already. Tiny little thing. And that is why you hit M first, because I see now that I've got my brightness layer on. Create a new layer, and this is going to be, we're actually going to name this one too, because we're going to be doing multiple layers on the same, doing the same task essentially to different degrees. So this is going to be yellow correct 1. Okay, so now we know that 1 is going to be all of these areas. Let's see when that selects to start. Okay, we're going to do that, do this. The goal with this is just to select all the potential pixel areas that we want to cover. Okay, so alright, so this is going to give us a baseline color correction that we can then fine tune. Now, to be clear, all this is doing is telling, I'm masking a specific part of this photo. We've taken a layer, it's sitting on top of everything else below it. And honestly, that could be about 6 videos in itself, just going through layers and how they work and all that kind of stuff. But I'm assuming if you're looking at this video, you have a generalized concept of what I'm talking about with that. So this top layer, this yellow correct layer, is going to be limited solely to where it's bright red now. Okay, so when we go into our color palette here and our color editor and we turn the mask off, when I click on this and I say, all right, we want to correct the tones that are in this green range. Okay, that's what we want. You can see it right here. Okay, smooth it out a bit. We'll increase this, but it's going to do all, this is the specific color right here. Now I can change the selection so that it's affecting those. All right, that we don't want the yellows to be affected. We just want the greens to be affected. So let's see what that looks like. Start removing. Okay, you can see it's starting to clear up. And let's see. That is where it starts to get too orange, is when we spread it out that far. Okay, so what we're gonna have to do is back it down. And this is just setting the tone that we're trying to edit. Now this looks a little orange still, but that's good. I like that. Okay. And it's brought this up some. This still has some green to it, some blue, some green. But up here is looking a whole lot better. There's some work in the shadows that we have to do. But this part here looks good. This looks much more true to life, which is the goal here. So let's do another layer. Okay, this is yellow correct 2. And this is going to be the next step more refined within our masking, so that we can focus on this point and change even further without screwing up the very nice tones that we now have up here in the feathers that are in the direct sun. Okay, so yellow correct. 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 There we go. 2. Yeah, I learned how to type. All right, so now we're going to go back to magic brush, and we're going to be more focused this time. We're going to be really focused. We're going to try to get specific little tones. Now, this is going to be difficult. We may have to erase some of this, and we may actually have to just paint it in ourselves. We'll see. I think we can do it with the magic brush, though. Let us see. Okay, that we can get. That we can get. That we can get. Alright, that's pretty good. That's really good. Good. So that's what gets us in trouble right there. So that has the same tone. So what we're going to do is, since we've gotten so much of this selected just on its own, we're going to go in. Let's see if we can select this very specific. Okay, so that's going to focus on. Okay, good. We're going to, let's see, all right. We're going to paint in that last little bit there, which is easy. Done. Okay, so we're affecting this zone everywhere that's red. I actually used a brush up here as well, the magic brush. No, we're not going to do that. We are going to do that though. Okay, so what we have here now is our next layer of change. And so we'll go in here, we'll select that color, and you can see, if you remember between the first one and the second one, our selection was all the way over here, and that was our green. We've corrected that now to the point that when we click on that, it's actually right in there somewhere. In any case, it's moved farther to the yellow, towards the red, which is what we want. That says that we're doing the correct changes. Now we'll continue making this more orange. Now we have this issue here, okay? See? It's getting very orange up here. Too much. Completely too much. So what we're going to have to do Let's get a little more targeted. Affect only certain things. Okay, so that's the next step. Now let's see whether we've done too much here. No, we haven't. We haven't done too much at all. We might want to desaturate it some more. Just so that we're really sure that we're not making that. Okay, so what we've done is we've moved it up 3 points on the magenta, which should start to neutralize its green. So now we're going to have to do another layer. I feel like that's taken out the green. Let's see, we'll just turn this on and off. Okay, yeah, that's taken out the green. It's muted some of the real big bird yellow that was going on there, but it's taken the green out. That's the important part. All right, so that looks really much more natural now. So we're going to do another layer, and we're going to focus solely down on that tail underbelly area, because the rest of it looks pretty darn close now. A little orangey in some spots, but we'll fool that specifically. Okay, yellow, correct. 3. Okay. Magic brush once again, and now we're just going to go down in here. And hopefully that'll just select that. Let's see. Okay. Alright, what we're going to do actually now, since we're so far down here now, we're going to do a neat trick I saw, I believe his name's David, over at Capture One do, which is you fill the mask entirely, turn it off, the view of the mask, then you fix, the whole frame's going to look wonky, but what we do is we change it until the specific color that we want fixed is in fact fixed. So that can be white balancing, it can be specific colors, it can do all sorts of stuff. So this right here, okay. So now that we've got that, which looks absolutely hideous, what we're going to do is clear the mask. Okay, and you come here, you select the regular brush, make it about that size, and you put the flow down to literally 1. All right, so now we're going to take our stylus. We're going to start working on this area very slowly so that we can bring specific spots up to that color work that we just did for the broad layer. Make that a little faster. Let's do 5. Okay, so you can see it's starting to get a little red there, little orange. What we're going to do here is we will tone it down some in a second. I wasn't kidding when I said this bird needed work. I mean, really. And why? I mean, because it needs it. You know, you could get away with, you could probably get away with just rolling with the green tinge and having it be, you know, what it is, but why? You know, just take the extra little bit of time. It's not a little bit, but you know, and get this sorted out. Get it so it's right. I mean, At least that's my theory about this. It's just one of those things where you know, honestly, there are so many photos in the world, and there's so many photos of what I would consider common birds like this, that what sets a photo apart is the execution at this point. Because everyone can, or anyone can sit there with a camera and take a photo of a bird, theoretically, or of the Grand Canyon, or whatever, but they can't make it look, not everyone anyway, without practice and time and energy and effort. Not everyone can make it have that wow factor, that oh geez, that's amazing factor. So we can adjust this slightly. Let's go into our saturation, open it down. Okay. Bump it back a little bit as far as the magenta. Lower the opacity a little tiny bit. And my friends, we have a almost perfectly color corrected American goldfinch. So now that looks pretty darn good. What we're going to do is make sure that we go around and clean out the edges. See how you got this little fog here? You can see that coming around. So now what we're going to do is, as hard as we can, absolute flow, bigger. We're going to go through and we're going to clean up these edges. So it immediately erases everything up to that edge. On this layer anyway. We'll have to do it for the other layers as well. Make sure. Okay. So that's good. Yeah, this one needs it as well. So we're gonna do boom, boom, boom. That cleans that up a little bit. So that is how you use the magic brush to really clean up the color cast. Now, before and after. Okay, so that's uncorrected. First step in correcting, which actually got us pretty close. So if you wanted to call it there, you probably could have. And then the next step, and then the final, fixing. I mean, it is it is a lot better, I think. Is it perfect? No. Is it pretty close? Yeah. So the next step is the background and playing with that and fixing that aspect. And we're just going to, let's try just filling the mask to start. So we're going to work with a filled mask. And we're going to select a color. Okay, so this green here, so it doesn't affect the yellows. And then we're going to move our hue over to the right some. That makes it completely yellow, that makes it completely blue. Do a little bit there. Increase our saturation a bit. Okay. So now all right, and our very last step is going to be the actual color balance. This is a process that requires me to fill the mask. There we go. All right, so now we need, this is our shadow tones. Okay. So you choose what you want your shadows to look like. What feel you want it to have. We just increase that subtly. I mean, this is really subtle. This is the crazily subtle work. Midtones. We want to veer away from the orange with that. So we're going to want to move towards kind of bluey. Yeah, the pink is good. The magenta is good. There we go. Because that gets our olive back somehow. Don't ask me how, but it does. And then on top of that, we still have our highlights to do. I'm feeling just a good straight up yellow for that. Okay, so this is a very subtle change. Okay, there is without the color balancing, and there it is with it, and it makes it far more true to life. Now we'll do the very end, our general feel that we want. Let's see if the magenta is going to help us again. Without anything at all, with everything balanced. That right there is, to me, a color corrected, dynamic, intense. Let's see what happens when we do this. Let's do that. That looks the most real to me. Yeah. All right, so that is an extremely long process in using the magic brush and the color palette in Capture One to correct what I consider to be a very complicated process. And this shows everything all the way from the beginning, but I mean, pay attention to this tone here and these tones that are present in the raw file, okay? Because we're not changing. See, you can barely tell that there's a difference right there in this specific feather, okay? Because we've corrected everything else to come in line with that feeling and that tone, and you can see it coming across now. This is the accurate tone. This is what the bird actually looks like. And so this bright area here that had the color cast, it's now clear. It's directed towards the yellow. And you can see it down here as well. This isn't going to change all that much. It's going to get a little more orange, but it's a yellow-orange bird. It just is. And here we go. So it's brightening up. It's veering towards the yellow. It's doing what it needs to do, so it looks real. It looks true. The greens are right, and the light is good. And I mean, we can even brighten this up some. We can go back to our background. Not that we've done literally anything on it. We can brighten this up, okay? And then even on top of that, we can go all the way down to our radial and make that even more dramatic. And that actually is what I would do. And let's see. Let's play with. Let's go up here to our style brushes, which are built in the Capture One. And again, well, not again. I'm not sure I said in the first place, but I'm not sponsored. It's just what I use. I used Lightroom for years. And I still finish things in Photoshop from time to time. So equal opportunity, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to recover some shadows. We're going to use a large brush, very soft edge on it, very low flow. Okay. We're just going to barely touch some stuff. We want to brighten up a few spots. Make it feel a little more dynamic. I mean, these are bare touches. Bring that down a little bit. And all this is just removing the shadow. And it's just a preset that they have for fixing things like this or accentuating things. So let's see if that was worth. Yeah, it was. Might turn it down a little bit. Okay. All right, so now from here, what I'll do is I'll drop it into Topaz, which will finish it off. It'll get rid of any little bits of noise. Not that there's a whole lot of it. It'll sharpen out some of these feather details, and that'll be that. So this is what goes into what I would consider a difficult or very complicated color cast correction. With that, again, because of the green going into the yellow, and it's not like we're talking about completely different sides of the color wheel here. We're talking about really closely related tones that affecting one affects it all, unless you do this layered effect, and you can really overdo it, as we saw with the orangey side. But now what we have is the true olivey yellow, because there is still green in this yellow now, but it's this olivey yellow that is true to life as far as female American goldfinch during the summer. So in any case, I hope this was helpful to some degree or the other, and like, follow, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Any questions, comments, tell me how I, screwed up or how it was great or whatever. Love to hear it. So, again, if you made it this far, thank you so much, and I will see you on the next one. All right.